exactly when this return SMS service started. Mr. McCarthy says in his replying affidavit, this only started in 2017. Now, lady, of course, Mr. McCarthy is in a difficult position because that reference you can find at case lines, your ladyship needn't go there. It's 111-32 at paragraph 56.2. Of course, we're not at that stage, long gone. We're no longer in access to Vodacom's documents and the like. But certainly one thing I can assure your ladyship is that Mr. McCarthy has been watching the development and the flow and what's happening with PCM like a hawk. And that is his recollection of what happened. It does come in reply, my lady, but that's the best we've got. But of course, the CEO had an opportunity, we say improper, but anyway, be that as it may, he took it, and he filed a further affidavit subsequent to our reply, subsequent to our heads of argument, and he takes no issue with that statement. Surely, as a matter of logic, if he was of the view that he had thought that statement was wrong, my lady, he would have, in a one-liner, in a one-page document attaching it, he could have debunked Mr. McCarthy's statement, but he was more worried about what had or had not been said about Professor Wayner, and for the rest, he left it. Of course, the lady is much like a reputation to a plea. It's a dangerous exercise to file a further affidavit, because if you don't then deal with all the other stuff that you have a proposition, well, lady, you have made your own bed. So we say there can be absolutely no doubt the BCM sent on the evidence which we presented to your ladyship can stand, and that whatever little quibbles you are here and there, it is no bona fide dispute of fact, a la room hire, Tasman Evans, and the tons of authorities referred to in that regard. Lady, going down 035-1 with the model, lady, and happily that's the only page that we need to refer to. Then we have, of course, after the PCMs, we have the success rate, and that is the debate which, or an address which Mr. Putrin has presented to your ladyship. Initially, just a summary, we found out that 38% of all PCM sent generated a return call over a period of 24 hours. We reduced that. I can't remember whether it was by agreement or not. It doesn't matter, but it's okay. The CEO accepted it. We reduced it to 27% of all, and that amounted only to an hour. The CEO, of course, reduced that by a further 70%, my lady, and that, on his version, meant only calls within just short of a minute. Just short of a minute was he prepared to accept as being incremental, but Mr. Putrin has had that debate. The next, my lady, column is something called the blended effective rate. Okay. Below, if you look across, it's got the words voice and it's got the word interconnect. Okay. Lady, the interconnect fee, which you have, starts, I'm just looking at that first column for the years 2002, 2003 is 99 cents, and the rest is R1.15. That is not a thumb suck, my lady. That is as legislated, that is as determined by IPSASA. There is no debate on the interconnect fee. The only debate that is raised between us and Vodacom and the CEO is whether, in fact, it should or should not be in. But when you read 6.4, as Mr. Putrin has done to your ladyship, there is no doubt that, and it can brook with no doubt with respect, that it is a number which is to be in. My lady, what we then have is the blended effective rate. And in our heads of argument, and let me explain what the blended effective rate is. The effective rate, so there are two issues. How long is the average call? That's one issue. And what is the average charge per call? That's the effective rate. The effective rate is are calls charged on average at R1 a minute, or R1.10 a minute, R2 a minute, or whatever the case may be. And your ladyship will remember that the CEO said, we are completely incorrect. We used, our blended effective rate includes contract, and it includes prepaid, and we combined the two to come to what is a higher effective rate than what it would be if you'd only used prepaid. Your ladyship with me. So because we combined the two, we got hired to the prepaid effective rate, and the CEO decided only prepaid should go into the model. Mr. Buckland had that addressed to your ladyship, and therefore we must only look at the lower one. One thing that they have not done, they have not said that if our argument is correct, that both contract and in-bundle, out-bundle, and prepaid is to be considered. They have not said that the blended effective rate that is given to your ladyship, bar one point which I'll make, is wrong. That they have not said. They have not quibbled with the way which we have come to that. So there can be no dispute then between us, other than the one thing which I'll mention in a moment, that the blended effective rate between what we say is contract and in-bundle and prepaid is wrong. There is only one debate, and that is the CEO says, no, that our effective rate, our contract effective rate, in which we determined to get to the blended effective rate, includes a factor or a percentage for equipment, for buying your mobile phone on contract, for example. Your ladyship will remember. Mr. Buckland addressed your ladyship for that issue and showed that on the financial statements, in fact, that's a completely separate line item. So, that we say, my lady, without me going into the long, complicated math of how we got to the voice and the voice blended effective rate, it is explained, my lady, in detail in paragraphs 8189 and following of our heads of argument. Exactly that is explained. So, my lady, if your ladyship finds that we have convinced you that the hardware, the mobile phone which you purchase on contract, has already been dealt with in the AFS, and if your ladyship finds that contract revenue is as well, there is no dispute, no argument as far as I can remember, or that I can ascertain that blended effective rate is wrong. They stuck with it. Lady, then comes the issue of the average duration of a call, and that is the next. We have got the number of calls per subscriber along that column. That is on average over the period, my lady. There is nothing in the evidence to say or to counter that is. Your ladyship, this is one of the things that we've continuously been asking about duration of a call. Logic, okay? So this is a product you're selling, and you are unable to give us what the average duration of a call is. To us, it was incredulous. But be that as it may, we stuck with what we've got. And what then happens is, my lady, we've worked out the average duration of the call. They've not said our math is wrong per se. The only statement that comes back from the CEO is that which you find in 6.13 of his determination, 004-10. He says the average call duration is incorrect. The call duration is less than 2 minutes per customer, derived from disclosed minutes of use. Well, my lady, as we sit here, despite 2 affidavits filed in these review proceedings by the CEO, despite a lengthy answering affidavit filed by Vodacom, they have still not told us how they get to less than 2 minutes. But, says the CEO, it's available from public data. He says at the bottom, the published local numbers are very different and are known. Well, my lady, they've been good at keeping it a secret from us, with respect. It is true that McCarthy's model, that's Model 8A, the original model, uses the 6.8 minutes from the 2002 financial year derived from USA data. That is true. But Model 9A, on which we subsequently did not rely on those minutes of use. We took the criticism on board, obviously, regarding United States, and we tried to do a different sum. So they say it's less than 2 minutes, not 1:59, not 1 minute 29, nothing. Do they tell us? Lady, what then happens below average duration is something called an allocated PCM minutes. And that, my lady, the way that is derived is also dealt with in our head argument. Lady, in the replying affidavit, the explanatory affidavit of the CEO, let me just get that reference. Let me just get that reference for you, my lady. Whilst I'm there. If your ladyship obviously goes along that column, you'll see ours go up and down. And call duration, average call duration is at 078-45. That's where he deals with it from the bottom. Case lines 078-45. And 110, he says, team provided McCarthy access to full record data from which the average call duration could be calculated. My lady, we couldn't, but they had a golden opportunity to do it in these proceedings. They haven't done it. And then in 111, he once more says, McCarthy used the average call duration vacillates dramatically in McCarthy's model from year to year, from 3.68 to as high as 7 without justification in the original model. To me, he used 1.6 in line with published data, which shows the duration consistently below 2 minutes. He subsequently changed to 3.68 without ever explaining the rationale. We just used the information. We, in fact, my lady, used the exact same calculation which he uses, I think, when he derives. That's with effective rate. I'm making an error. But the point is that they have simply not explained to us with any data, despite having an opportunity to do so in this affidavit and in Vodacom's affidavit, how they get to that number. Incidentally, my lady, in the SNG report of the data mining act, which we were only able to get data over those 2 particular days, despite being there for so many days, the average call duration is in the SNG report. It is over 2 minutes. It's, I can get the reference at a later stage. I think it's 2.6 minutes. In fact, it's 2.6 minutes, the average duration, not less than 2 minutes, as the CEO says. And this is information verified by Vodacom. Milady, then, but I don't want to take your ladyship's time because at the end of the day, it simply becomes a relative bastard. Case number, the report is a 006-442. What's the average call? Average duration. Say that again for me. The PCM revenue at the bottom, my lady, is also explained in our heads of argument from 192 and following. Once more, they don't take issue with the formula itself. They only take issue with the factors which one finds, or the factorials in the formula. Mm-hmm. Lady, what then happens is at 036-31, lady, you then find, given those numbers, that's just a summary of the revenue share based on the McCarthy model 9A updated. But I want, lady, there is one more thing that I forget, and this is quite important. When you look, sorry, my lady, I want to make this point. When you look at the 570.
1 minute.
570.
Yes.
Your ladyship will see that's the product description document. And that is what the lowest, middle of the road, and the highest scenarios are of what they believe to be the that in essence is the effective rate, but that is way back in prior to the launch of everything. It's just as a reference to your ladyship. Lady, I want to go to our heads of argument, because at the end of our heads, my lady, you 119-94, 84, 119-84.
What's you?
Lady, you needn't go there, but the average duration, just for reference sake, the average duration of the call at the data mining exercise 006-455. That is where that is. Lady, before I go to my heads, I forget there is one more document that I need to take you to, and that is the affidavit of Mr. Pandaran, in which he deals with the CEO. It is to be found at 102-1.
Yes.
The CEO tells us in his determination how he got his effective rate. That he gets, my lady, that statement he makes at 004-17. And he says at paragraph 10.6.5, he says, I calculated the average revenue per minute, bearing in mind this is now only by taking voice prepaid average revenue per user as supplied by Vodacom divided by the published minutes. That's how he says he worked out the effective rate. What we then did, we used those numbers, Mr. Funderam did, and once more,